Welcome back, everybody, to the WAM, and we've got an episode to close out 1931 here in the Wrestling Association of the Mid-South in our Effganic Genesis mod. And thanks to Mark Northern, we are on our journey to become the biggest wrestling company in the world, and those who have been riding with us know that we have been drudging along, and we've got some work to do. If you're new, welcome in. We've got quite a unique playthrough of TEW IX going on here. And very first thing, you can see that it is November 17th, and we've got some character ideas that are expiring very soon. Let's go ahead and use these guys, if they are worth using, that is. Emilio Suarez is a near certainty, so we're going to go ahead and get into that one, but you will be able to see that we've got a character idea, and even though he's pretty happy and has red hot momentum anyway, there's no reason not to use this near certainty. And it was a success. Now he's got white hot momentum. You love to see it. Friedrich Herzog also has a creative idea, and this man has got some good momentum as well. This one's just a safe bet, not as certain, but it expires in about a week anyway. And this one was a failure. Unfortunately, it actually brings him down from white hot to red hot momentum. So a little bit of backfire there, but I ain't too worried about it all in all. And we're about to get into the next event. But before doing so, I just noticed that Fumihiko Onoda is back on the unemployed market in the local workers tab. I was hoping to get a female here, but unfortunately there were none. But I noticed that Fumihiko Onoda is no longer with his past company. I think it was TAW or something like that, TWA, one of the other companies in the world, or in the nearby region, not too far. He was employed, no longer that is the case, so that's unfortunate. You hate to see that for our boy Fumihiko Onoda. We may be calling him to work for us every now and then, but I'm not ready to make any commitments. But with that being said, we don't have anything else to do to get into our first event of the episode, the Fortnite Fisticuffs. And remember, this is a new show, a new implementation into our event schedule. We've got a bi-weekly show, and this kind of builds up each monthly event, the Spectacle of Amazing Grapples. And unfortunately, the way that we use the show, as seen in this first match, it can sometimes hurt us with the ratings, because we really try to get some of the lower card guys, some of the less experienced guys, not rely on our big names as much, and build up some more depth to our roster by getting some victories and some guys that you don't always see out in the ring. Now, we've got Raymond Rickman. He's been scratching and clawing to get into the WAM for a while. We have signed him for a one-night deal, and this may be the only night deal that he gets, because he only comes away with an in-ring performance of 6. Granted, he was rusty, but that's still really bad. When you got a guy like Chuck Wellington needing to carry the match, things are a problem. There is a problem. And unfortunately, it's a terrible way to start the show and killed the crowd right away. So we're going to have to make a quick change, and we're going to implement something really quick. So just hang on. Okay, so this is probably the best hope that I can fix with the way that this card is set up. We slid in a quick Neil Allman promo, because this man is the best man on the microphone that we've got, and unfortunately he struggled when going off script, which is not like him. But we still get a segment rating of 41. You see here that Neil Allman makes his way out to the ring and quickly acknowledges the new location the WAM has come to, greeting the fans of Norman, Oklahoma. Not too far, but it is a deviation, so give him that. He then asks if they were able to witness the dismantling of Sebastian Morales that he put on at the last event, the Spectacle of Amazing Grapples. Neil Allman highlights Morales' ability as a competitor and insists that it's only right to crown him as the new #1 contender to the heavyweight championship. Neil Allman receives a mixed reaction, something he wasn't expecting. In response, he begins shouting at members of the audience, stating if they won't treat him properly, he's making his way out and bringing the microphone with him. So just some Neil Allman shenanigans. He's got a gimmick that's getting stale. That's unfortunate. We're gonna have to address that after this event, but we get a segment rating of 41 to hopefully lift the crowd out of that dying state that they were in. Get a match rating of 32 as we've got the Pride in Tag Team Competition. Fritz Haddendorf and Oscar Kohler defeating Kitahachi Kukui and Benson Sandy in 9.5 minutes. Fritz Haddendorf was the one to collect the pin, and we get some decent performances. Benson Sandy namely at 40, Kitahachi Kukui at 31, Fritz Haddendorf at 33, and Oscar Kohler at 26. And it is worth noting that Friedrich Herzog is ringside with these boys, and he is watching like a hawk. And despite the victory, he doesn't take any kind of action like he has been in the past few months, but he still doesn't look thrilled with Fritz Haddendorf and Oscar Kohler. Kukui and Sandy take a loss, but they are getting back into the swing of things and getting some good in-ring performances, which is a good sign for them. Now our next match, we did end up bringing Fumihiko Onoda back in, just to take a loss to Black Demon in 5 minutes 49 seconds. Black Demon with a performance of 36, Onoda with 35, and we get a match rating of 33. But the juice is in the post-match here. Following Black Demon's victory, the Dark Carnival makes an eerie appearance at the curtain. The silent encounter is intense, but not long after their appearance, they would make their way back behind the curtain with no real advancement made towards Black Demon. So I didn't mention that Black Demon obviously would see the Dark Carnival, and there would be a standoff basically, and just a stare down of one another. And all in all, we just get a slight small appearance from the Dark Carnival after Black Demon picks up a victory. And remember, in the last episode, Black Demon turned his back on the Dark Carnival. Not that he was ever along with them to begin with, despite his name might giving you that idea, but that's just not the case. He basically rejected their attempts to recruit him, so to speak. So we get a segment rating of 24, and we can move on. Now we don't get the best match here, but Albie Dewberry has been needing a victory. He's trying to build some momentum, and he does just that with a quick victory over Wayne Blankenship. In-ring performance of 43 for Albie Dewberry, Blankenship at 22, and the segment rating got a total rating of 33 for this match. So nothing groundbreaking. Like I said, this fortnight fisticuff shows are just to build some momentum, get some experience, lay some foundation for some of our guys, because the top of our card is in a pretty good spot compared to, in relation to the world's top guys. We don't have a Daniel Loisel, we don't have a Sir Anthony Henry, but we do have an Elijah Mays. Friedrich Herzog has 40 plus popularity. Bronson Fraley is near 40, and Neil Allman's near 40. Rahan Marlowe's near 40 as well. So we want to build that mid card, and I think this show is going to be able to do that. So we're going to move on. Our main event, we do feature some of our big guns to make sure that we can send the crowd home happy. We've got a tag team match between champions and contenders. Heavyweight champion Rahan Marlowe and junior heavyweight champion Elijah Mays teaming up begrudgingly to take on Woodrow Gunter and Joe Cartwright. Now, Woodrow Gunter was the last man to challenge Marlowe for the heavyweight championship, and Joe Cartwright picked up a big victory over Albie Dewberry at the last event, which kind of points him in the direction as being the one to maybe contend for the junior heavyweight championship next. But all in all, we get good performances from our main guys, and we get a match rating of 45, which will really help us out with our overall show rating. The crowd is finally hot, and it took the whole show, but we got to it, and we did well, I would say. Elijah Mays with an in-ring performance of 42, Rahan Marlowe at 55, Joe Cartwright at 55, and Woodrow Gunter at 46. And of course, the champions take care of business, and Elijah Mays is the one to submit Joe Cartwright. And what is worth noting, if you don't already know, Elijah Mays wants the heavyweight championship, and Rahan Marlowe's got it. And so there's a little bit of a statement made as Elijah Mays is the one to secure the victory, and he kind of locks eyes with Rahan Marlowe and does not lose focus on that championship belt. So all in all, despite the penalty that we received for our live event experience being slightly worse than SPW's, we get an overall rating of 39, and things could be a lot worse with how poor the show started and the dead crowd, the unresponsive crowd throughout most of the show. I think things could have gone worse. and this should still be able to raise some popularity. And as always, we get to address the locker room, giving Black Demon, Benson Sandy, and Albie Dewberry some praise. We gain $4,000. We decided not to broadcast this show because we still need to make money and to, fund our wrestling company, of course. So we don't broadcast things, we don't gain that extra bit of popularity, but we do gain $4,000 in total profit, and there's something to be said about that for sure. Now, before we get into the next event, Turner Spittler is getting a little annoyed, as you can see here, so we're going to use our unspecified character idea that is likely to succeed on him. Hopefully it works. It might fail. It did not. It was a success, but he's still annoyed. That's unfortunate. I want to go ahead and try to give him a monetary bonus and see if giving him $100 would maybe make his morale any better. Not necessarily having the highest expectations. Yeah, he's still annoyed. So Turner Spiller is currently annoyed. Don't worry about all these names. We made some adjustments into the roster, and you're going to see how that affected our current lineup here in just a minute, but just wait just a moment. We'll see you on the other side.
Who would have thought that it would take like 5 months to get this show booked? For those who have stuck around, I appreciate you. Now let's get back to the action. Our pre-show match has Gabriela Suarez going one-on-one with Sloan Knutson, and this is just an exhibition match to get Gabriela Suarez some reps and a victory over a lesser-known talent. We know Gabriela Suarez is a competent worker as she gets an in-ring performance of 40. Sloan Knutson only gets a rating of 12, but she is rusty, so we'll give her that. Segment rating of 27 for the first match of the night. Now as the show really gets going, we've got Benson Sandy going one-on-one with Chuck Wellington. If you're not familiar, Chuck Wellington has a big match with Bronson Fraley coming up in a little over a month now, and he continues to season himself with exhibition matches, getting some wins under his belt, despite the fact that he had to use his brother Duke to get it done. Now in canon, this wouldn't really be a handicap match, this would be a singles match, though there would be some serious chicanery from Duke Wellington in this one, but we also want to get him some experience and an increase in popularity as well. And Benson Sandy does some good work for himself, even in defeat, leading the match with a performance rating of 42, Chuck with a 32, and Duke with a 29. Good start to the show, so let's see if we can keep it rolling. Turner Spittler is a very annoyed man at the moment, so I wanted to get him some action along with a victory. Super Monkey delivers a good performance here with a performance of 44, Turner Spittler with a rating of 34, making for a total match rating of 38. And the crowd is loving the show so far, white hot after the second match. We then get a great match out of Elijah Mays and Woodrow Gunter. Really good numbers from this match, Elijah Mays with an in-ring performance of 44, Woodrow Gunter at 48, and all in all we get a match rating of 45. Now Elijah Mays is dead set on competing for that heavyweight championship, getting his crack at Rahan Marlowe, and getting another victory over a really prominent heavyweight is definitely going to do him some favors. And these guys really delivered a nice match here. Now in the next segment, Neil Allman begins the next segment in the ring. Microphone equipped. Neil Allman works the crowd, to which he responds well to. Allman praises the Tulsa crowd for the improved reception compared to the last time he was in the ring in Norman, Oklahoma. After a short while, Allman would finally announce the main event of the evening, as Rahan Marlowe is set to clash with Joel Cartwright in cross-division competition. Before the competitors made their way out, Allman got comfortable ringside, ready to spectate an important match. So pretty obvious, pretty cut and dry here. Neil Allman wants to watch Rahan Marlowe's next match. Neil Allman feels that he is the rightful #1 contender, and he is fire on the mic, so we had to give him some time here to get a good segment rating of 46. And we had a great main event. It really delivered. Rahan Marlowe once again coming out on top in a non-title match against Joel Cartwright. Rahan Marlowe with an in-ring performance of 55, Joel Cartwright over at 54, and the match rating all together getting a match rating of 53. We wanted them to steal the show, and they did just that. Great match to end the night. However, following Marlowe's victory, Elijah Mays and the Great Matsuo appear out of the curtain. Matsuo is given a microphone and cuts a lively promo. While Marlowe cannot make out the majority of what is said given that the Great Matsuo doesn't really speak English, there is one line that is unmistakably clear, that Marlowe can't hide from Elijah Mays any longer. Neil Allman would respond in an animated way. running up to the two at the stage to argue that he is the rightful contender. And as the show comes to an end, no physical confrontation between Neil Allman and Elijah Mays, but neither man backs down. They definitely get in one another's faces. There is a verbal spat, I guess, for lack of a better word. And the show ends with some tension, some drama, and some confrontation between Neil Allman, Elijah Mays, and heavyweight champion Rahan Marlowe. So, pretty strong show altogether. We had a really good main event, some really strong segments, and we were able to get some decent matches sprinkled in there as well. And we are, of course, constantly fighting the penalty of our live event experience, being that it is lesser than SPW's. But that's not something we can change anytime soon, so we'll just have to roll with the punches there. But we do increase our popularity in one region. And addressing the locker room, we're going to give some praise to Turner Spittler, Masked Hammer, and Chuck Wellington. We know that Turner Spittler and Masked Hammer aren't the happiest of boys, and we got to continue to pipe up Chuck Wellington for his big match coming up. We made a good amount of money, $4,340 in profit, and these non-broadcasted Fortnite fisticuffs may just be our way that we build the funds to then go spend it for our big monthly events and broadcasting and such. And we do go from 36 to 37 in the Mid-South. We get some good feedback from the show on the front page, and man, it's good to be back on this save. I love the WAM. It's a good time. I know it's been a long time, but if you're still watching, if you've been around, thank you. I appreciate you, and we're going to try to get this a little bit back on track and get some episodes and continue to develop the identity of the WAM. But I'm done yapping. Let's get into the action. Our next show is kicked off with a pre-show match, as we've got Kitahachi Kukui and Masked Hammer going one-on-one. Much like Turner Spittler last week, I wanted to get Masked Hammer a shot to pick up a victory in singles competition here on this card. This is just a pre-show match, but we do see a decent performance out of both. Kitahachi Kukui at 34, Masked Hammer at 32, and they put together a match rating of 31. Now, to get the show started, we've got the ladies in singles competition. Kuni Hashiguchi, Ivy Baldridge going one-on-one. Kuni Hashiguchi would come out on top against Ivy Baldridge, but the ladies actually put in nice performances here. Kuni Hashiguchi at 39, Ivy Baldridge is getting a lot better at 31. We get a match rating of 34, and the women's division continues to grow, shape, and develop. Now we've got tag team action in the next match, and the Dark Carnival has returned to Fortnite Fisticuffs to compete against Fumihiko Onoda, our free agent that constantly finds his way back onto the WAM, and Randy Edson. Of course, this is just to get the Dark Carnival some work, some reps, and they get a victory over some enhancement talent, more or less. But we do see some nice performances. Craig Bean at 39, Black Bull at 37, Fumihiko Onoda at 31, but Randy Edson down there at 22. Unfortunate for that guy. Not a bad turnout here for the Dark Carnival as they continue to get a little bit of momentum for themselves. After the match, Black Demon appears at the stage. He makes his way to the ring slowly, and the Dark Carnival is encouraging his approach. Once Black Demon reaches the ring, the Dark Carnival celebrate. However, this celebration would be short-lived when Black Demon actually struck down Bryant Hines, the ringleader of the Dark Carnival. Blue Mage, Craig Bean, and Black Bull were shocked at Black Demon's actions, who didn't budge. Before the rest of the carnival could retaliate, Bryant Hines broke out into maniacal laughter, holding the members of the Dark Carnival back. The scene was tense and confusing, but the Dark Carnival would leave the ring area without further conflict. More development in our Black Demon Dark Carnival storyline. Black Demon has been recruited by the Dark Carnival to join their ranks, but he has not seemed to take it. He seems to be a bit of a loner, and he really emphasizes his position here as he strikes down Bryant Hines. And we know that Bryant Hines is the leading man of the Dark Carnival, despite not really being an in-ring competitor, or much of one, I should say. But there's some tension created there, and before the big men of the Dark Carnival could do anything to Black Demon, Bryant Hines, in kind of a creepy way, he just starts laughing, and Black Demon doesn't say a word. There really isn't any words spoken at this point outside of Bryant Hines' laughter, and the Dark Carnival collect themselves, and they eventually make their way back, leaving Black Demon in the ring alone. Now in our next match, we've got Benson Sandy one-on-one with Duke Wellington, getting his opportunity to get his hands on the man who more or less kind of costed him a chance at beating Chuck Wellington, participated in some shenanigans in the last show, and Benson Sandy is looking to get a little bit of payback. He gets that opportunity in a one-on-one match, and he actually makes good on that opportunity by picking up the victory against Duke Wellington. Benson Sandy with an in-ring performance of 39, refreshing to have another guy who's starting to poke his head out with some good performances. Duke Wellington down at 25. He was really off of his game here, so he's not the best singles competitor, and we will hopefully get him a little bit more experience as well, but the boys put together a match rating of 33, not bad. However, upset with the loss, Chuck and Duke Wellington launch an attack on Benson Sandy. The Wellington brothers brutalize Benson Sandy here until an unlikely save is made by the WAM legend, Pickleman Gary Cowell. The Wellingtons cleared the area as the Pickleman made his way down to the ring and tended to Benson Sandy. So huge return from the Pickleman Gary Cowell. He left the WAM a long time ago, being very unhappy, and he has clearly since then grown and matured and realized that the WAM is not a bad place to be. We just had some really, really toxic workers at the start of the series. But we're going to move on. Good segment here, and welcome back, Pickleman. Another tag team match in our next contest as we've got the Pride back in action, going up against Wayne Blankenship and Christopher Hartwell. Now, not the strongest match here. You see we only get a match rating of 29. It's unfortunate because Wayne Blankenship and Christopher Hartwell are actually really good workers outside of the Mid-South. Christopher Hartwell is really popular in other regions, but for whatever reason he just hasn't been able to put it together here in the WAM, and unfortunately for Hartwell and Blankenship, they really have kind of just become like enhancement talent at this point. And it's not the best thing in the world, but they are really capable of providing a good hand when you need them. Not so much in this match because the ratings aren't great. Oscar Kohler just got a 24, Fritz Hattendorf got a 33, Blankenship at 29, and Hartwell at 32. Altogether, we get a match rating of 29 as the Pride continues to show their might, flex their muscle a little bit, picking up another victory, and you know Friedrich Herzog is ringside watching. In fact, Friedrich Herzog would then announce the dominance that is coming from the Pride after the match. The former heavyweight champion claims his crew is the future of wrestling. This promo didn't last long before Friedrich Herzog was interrupted by the return of a handful of former WAM wrestlers, posing a challenge to the Pride at the next edition of the Amazing Grappling Spectacle. I mistyped in the description, but it seems that we've got more big returns, some WAM originals, some WAM OGs, coming back to basically tell the Pride to put their money where their mouth is. If they are so confident claiming that they are the future of wrestling, they should be able to take down some old heads like Yuvraj Tanel and Kelvin Gebhardt. Segment rating of 30, and it just sets the stage for our monthly event. Now our next match, Neil Allman, Elijah Mays. They put on a fantastic bout here. Match rating of 51. Neil Allman got an in-ring performance of 54. Elijah Mays at a 44. Despite Neil Allman having a fantastic performance here, he actually came up short on the losing end against Elijah Mays. And Elijah Mays continues to prove his point. The junior heavyweight champion wants to be the heavyweight champion. He wants to defy the weight divisions. And after putting down another former champion, another top-tier heavyweight competitor, it's hard to make any arguments against Elijah Mays at this point, and it really seems that he might be very deserving of a shot at Rahan Marlowe and the heavyweight championship. So pretty decent show all in all. You could tell it's been a while that I haven't been playing TEW much because I totally forgot to get one of our matches booked as Steal the Show or High Spots or Masterclass. So we get a little bit of a negative bump from there, and of course we're working with some penalties that are always against us. But not bad. Show rating of 40. We will definitely take those. And of course after the show we praised Masked Hammer once again, Black Demon, and Black Bull, hopefully in attempts to improve the morale of these guys. Had another nice night financially as we gained another nearly $4,000, but no gains in popularity, so that will complete the show and we're going to move on. And thanks to the lack of shenanigans or anything needing to be tended to in between, we are now at the Amazing Grappling Spectacle 82 Homecoming. We've got a little bit of a theme for this one, and now that we are implementing these bi-weekly shows, we're going to try to assign some kind of theme to each monthly show. It may not be every single monthly show, but we want to spruce up the events a little bit. And this month's theme, Homecoming, thanks to the return of some of the WAM OGs, we've got some familiar faces popping up for maybe just tonight or maybe to stay. We're going to have to see. But we do have a triple threat in the pre-show to get the night going. Benson Sandy, Kitahachi Kukui, and Diego Bergen. Decent workers, but Benson Sandy has stuck his head above the other two as he got an in-ring performance of 43, Kukui at 33, Diego Bergen at 35. And Benson Sandy making the most of his opportunities, man. He is really doing well for himself, and he's making a case for himself, and he's doing it right this time around. That's for sure. You gotta love it for the boy. We've got another pre-show match. I knew these two would put on a banger, but unfortunately I just didn't have anything of significance for either of these guys at the moment to put them on the main card. Albie Dewberry, Joel Cartwright going one-on-one. These guys know each other very well. Albie Dewberry comes out on top here. He got an in-ring performance of 40. Joel Cartwright with an excellent performance at 50. And no stakes here attached to this match, no story or anything. Just wanted to get the guys some work, and I knew that they would produce a really good match, and they did. And the theme of Homecoming is even found on the pre-show, as we've got Charlie Thompson back in the WAM to go against Woodrow Gunter. And it's a good thing we kept him on the pre-show, because Charlie Thompson is rusty and not a good performer in comparison to where we're at nowadays. Woodrow Gunter absolutely carried the match, in-ring performance of 50, while Charlie Thompson only got an in-ring performance of 13. Not a lot to say here. We wanted to see what Charlie Thompson would be like, and I don't think we're going to see much more of him going forward. We've got one more pre-show match, the Dark Carnival in tag team action, taking on Wayne Blankenship and Christopher Hartwell. And the Dark Carnival really performed well here. Blue Mage with an in-ring performance of 47, Black Bull at 41, Blankenship 29, and Hartwell at 32. I think those are the exact same performances they got in the last tag team match that they were in. We got them some work here on our monthly event, match rating of 36 even though it is a pre-show match. Now we're getting going. The show begins with Neil Allman in the ring, once again with his trusty microphone. Neil Allman calls out the heinous management that has led to his exclusion from the card tonight. Allman is boisterous with his claims that he is the biggest star in the WAM today, defending the legitimacy of the company against outsiders from substandard companies. While some of his statements are outrageous, it's clear Allman is loyal to the WAM, which garners a mixed response from the crowd. This promo would end when Turner Spittler and Masked Hammer rushed the ring area, ready for a match. This segment would turn it into an impromptu match, starting out as a handicap match with Neil Allman. He didn't blink. He took on the challenge immediately. He was ready, whether it was 1-on-2, 1-on-1, 3-on-1, whatever. Neil Allman was ready for the smoke. However, he couldn't overcome the numbers disadvantage. He started off hot, but Turner Spittler and Masked Hammer eventually started to take control, and as the match kind of changed and led into that slow plodding heels in the driver's seat kind of match, Super Monkey made his way down to the ring, evening up the odds and adding a second competitor to the side of Neil Allman. Now that the numbers were evened up, Super Monkey came in guns blazing. He really made a difference, and Neil Allman didn't love it. Neil Allman has been protecting the sanctity of the WAM from the outsiders, but Super Monkey here is most definitely an outsider. And Turner Spittler, Masked Hammer, of course, came from other companies as well, but there's some conflict with Neil Allman actually accepting aid from Super Monkey, considering that Super Monkey is someone from a substandard company. But ultimately, Neil Allman, he swallows his pride, I guess, in that moment, and allows himself to take the assistance from Super Monkey, and these two would ultimately pick up the victory against Turner Spittler and Masked Hammer. 10.5-minute match, and it didn't even drag in the middle. You gotta love that. Our psychology has come so far. Match rating of 42 for our first match of the night. Super Monkey with an in-ring performance of 39, Neil Allman with the class of the match at 52, Masked Hammer at 34, and Turner Spittler at 39. And worth mentioning, Super Monkey got a 39 despite being really off of his game, so that just speaks to the capabilities of our boy Super Monkey here. Now in the next match, we've got a 4-woman free-for-all contest here. Kuni Hashiguchi, Gabriela Suarez, Ivy Baldridge, and Sloane Knutson. We've got 3 talented ladies, and Sloane Knutson, who's still getting her feet under her a little bit. And you can see that as Knutson only got an in-ring performance of 14, whereas Ivy Baldridge got a 30, Gabriela Suarez got a 36, and Kuni Hashiguchi got a 45. Kuni Hashiguchi would be the one to come out on top. She has really placed herself as the woman here in the WAM. We get a match rating of 35 in total, and the ladies are really doing their part here in the WAM now. We are really going to have to make a decision on when we are going to implement the inevitable Women's Championship, but I'm not entirely sure when I'm going to do that just yet. But regardless, the women's division will continue to develop. Now in our next match, we've got Chuck Wellington going one-on-one, mano-a-mano, against the Pickle Man, Gary Cowell. Gary Cowell makes a big return to the WAM with an in-ring performance of 37. However, Chuck Wellington would, of course, pick up the victory against the returning Pickle Man, despite only getting an in-ring performance of 31. And Chuck Wellington came away with the victory, building some momentum for his big match with Bronson Fraley. However, it wasn't the cleanest of ways. You know, of course, Duke Wellington's ringside, Angus Wellington's ringside, and they are causing their distractions. But ultimately, Chuck Wellington uses some assistance from the ropes on some kind of schoolboy and is able to get the 1-2-3 on Gary Cowell. While Chuck and the Wellington brothers celebrate the questionable victory, Bronson Fraley stands within the audience and reveals his presence. The Wellington brothers are taken back and furious at Fraley's attendance, claiming he isn't allowed on the premises. But Fraley retorts that he's a paying customer, just like everyone else. The crowd is going crazy, encouraging a physical conflict, but Fraley sits back down and waves off the Wellington brothers. The entire mood of the brothers has shifted, who make their way to the back without taking their eyes off of Fraley. So Bronson Fraley did it first, if anyone asks. Bronson Fraley he pulled the see me in the crowd because I bought a ticket shtick. And so if you ever wonder, whenever you see it next, you can know that Bronson Fraley was the first man that did that in professional wrestling. It caught the Wellingtons off guard. You know, Bronson Fraley doesn't charge the ring. He doesn't hop the barricade or anything like that. He stays calm. He just wants the Wellington brothers to know that he's there and he's watching and he's ready. Just furthering the build for our big match between Bronson Fraley and Chuck Wellington. Segment rating of 30, not bad. We've got more singles action. This time the Dark Carnival is back on the match card. Craig Bean is going one-on-one with Black Demon in a little bit of resolution from the conflict that we had between them at the last show. This is the Dark Carnival's opportunity to get some get back here on Black Demon, and it's just as much an opportunity for Black Demon to kind of release some of his pent-up frustrations, that not only is he annoyed at the backstage morale, but in story he is also kind of perturbed by the Dark Carnival's persistence to get him as a member, despite his very clear responses that he works alone. But we get a good match. Craig Bean, he's a good worker. He's a really good worker. In-ring performance of 41, the man never gives us bad matches, I would say. Black Demon, he's getting better. He had an in-ring performance of 36. Altogether, these two get a match rating of 39. It could have been better if Black Demon wasn't really off of his game here, but not bad work, and we get some furthering of the happenings between Black Demon and the Dark Carnival. We've got a big 6-man tag team matchup next, as the Pride, Friedrich Herzog, Fritz Hattendorf, and Oscar Kohler are going to go 3-on-3 with some WAM OGs. Kelvin Gebhardt, Jamari Meese, and Yavraj Tunnell all making their returns back to the WAM. Friedrich Herzog said that the Pride is the future of wrestling, and they did a good job of backing that up here in this match as they take care of business, picking up the victory over a handful of WAM OGs. Now, we get a match rating of 41, pretty good for the 6-man match, but we don't have the best performances from Oscar Kohler, as he only got 27. Fritz Hattendorf is over at 34, Friedrich Herzog, the class of the match, with an in-ring performance of 50, Yavraj Tunnell actually turning some heads, raising my eyebrows, that's for sure, with that in-ring performance of 43. He does have a terrible personality, but if he's going to get those kind of numbers, we may just have to bring him back to the WAM on a little bit more of a consistent basis. Jamari Meese, 33,
Calvin Gebhardt, 35. And despite being decent performers, all three of our WAM OGs just have awful, shitty personalities and detriments to the backstage, that's for sure. So I don't have plans on keeping these guys around, to the exception of Yuvraj Tunnel if he can continue to perform the way he's performing. So nice showing here from the Pride. Now our semi-main event, I knew this match would be a banger, but these three didn't have anything specific, any significant stories really that they could have been inserted into this match card with. So we just put Emilio Suarez, Hermenegildo Ramirez, and Sebastian Morales in a triple threat match. I was just recently playing through the AAA Lucha Libre Heroes del Ring game. I even made a video on the main channel if you want to go check that out. But I'm stuck in the mood of Lucha Libre, I suppose, and we just put these three competitors from Mexico, all with some high-flying ability, into a match to wow the fans, and they did just that. They got a match rating of 51, excellent performances all around. Emilio Suarez at 38, Sebastian Morales at 51, and Hermenegildo Ramirez at 63. This man is so good it can't be ignored anymore. It's just such a shame that he's lost to Elijah Mays so many times for the Junior Heavyweight Championship. But like we said, we knew it was going to be a great match, but there's not a lot of reasoning behind it, other than I wanted to get a good number for the show and our production here. So moving on into the main event, it is a monumental heavyweight championship match. Elijah Mays is finally getting his shot at the heavyweight championship, and Rahan Marlow. In a bout that had good heat and decent wrestling, Rahan Marlow defeated Elijah Mays in 13:06 by pinfall. We tried implementing a creative finish, it failed. It tanked the rating a little bit. Rahan Marlow suffered an injury in the match, and this match did not go the way I was hoping it to go. We get one of the worst matches of the night, at least by ratings standards. And it was supposed to be our main event, our heavyweight championship main event, our champion versus champion main event. Unfortunately, it comes up short, and that's going to hurt our show rating overall, but at least the performance of Rahan Marlow stood out as being good. Now, Elijah Mays has been on a nearly year-long trek to become and earn a shot at the heavyweight championship. He finally gets that, and he comes up short. It was a great match, highly competitive. These two both showed that they are capable of being the top guy. However, Rahan Marlow just was that much better today. And Elijah Mays, not only is he furious about this loss in canon, Elijah Mays was furious about losing this match in backstage. There was nothing I could do to alleviate his gripes or his complaints with the match, despite Rahan Marlow's probably the strongest booked guy in 1931. So really, who else would there be to lose to? Elijah Mays has knocked down every heavyweight he's gone up against, to the exception of the heavyweight champion now, still Rahan Marlow. But we might lose Elijah Mays, in all honesty. He's not happy. He's furious at taking the loss. And, I had some high hopes for him. I'm not saying he's gone. Totally, I'm not saying I don't have any more plans for him. This may not even be the end of his heavyweight championship chase. But to be a guy who's not willing to take a single loss, I'm not going to strap the rocket to you, brother. I'm not going to do that to myself, because if you leave me in a bad spot, I'm screwed. And I'm trying to save the WAM here. And we've got some serious goals that we're trying to knock out as well. And we can't do that with a diva at the top of our company. But I'm going off on a little bit of a tangent here. We don't get the rating that we want, but it's not a bad match. I think we had the makings of a really good match, but it just didn't deliver. The pieces didn't come together here this time. So all in all, thanks to our poor main event, we only get a show rating of 37. That's unfortunate. And of course, we still had our penalty from our live event experience. They said Masked Hammer was slightly overused. I guess his match was just a little bit too long. But this show does increase our popularity in a region. So top to bottom, this show definitely had some bright spots. The Neil Allman promo could have been a lot higher if I just kept Neil Allman by himself versus implementing the other two guys, but I had to do it, I guess, The matches were fine. We did have two nice matches on the main card with the triple threat and the 6-man tag team match. that heavyweight championship match that will be disappointing for quite a while. Chuck Wellington gets some good momentum going up against Bronson Fraley next month. We get some establishment in the women's division. Altogether, I would definitely call this a successful show. We did some really good things. And after the show, we're going to praise our heavy hitters, Rahan Marlowe, Hermenegildo Ramirez, and Neil Allman, the men that went out there and did the damn thing and put up some nice performances. And we did broadcast this show, so we lost $340 on it, but that's not bad, honestly. If we're creeping around $0, nearly breaking even for these more expensive shows, and then we make money during the build on the Fortnite fisticuffs, that could be very sustainable and give us a little bit more flexibility as well. However, I'm not going to lead too much into it, but there will be some shenanigans coming up with our bailout as well, so stay tuned for that. So our popularity in the Midwest does increase, but it doesn't bump up to the next level. That's okay. Thank you to the broadcasting in the Midwest, we were able to get a little bit of growth there. Now, all of our WAM OGs were on like one appearance contracts, so they're all taking their leave from the WAM once again. However, these three, Gary Cowell, Yuvraj Chanel, and she's not a WAM OG, but Sloan Knutson, we are going to give them some contracts to keep them around. I think Yuvraj Chanel, I'm just going to do a few more appearances. Gary Cowell has got a really bad personality, so I don't want to commit all the way to that either. But these three have shown me enough to make me want to keep them around. So we're going to give them contracts, and I assume that they will accept and stick around. And as you can see, Emilio Suarez has big morale issues. He is an angry boy because we had to re-sign Diego Berrigan, and he hates Diego Berrigan. So immediate tension there. They don't like each other. And by bringing Diego Berrigan back, it sent Emilio Suarez off of the deep end. We're going to see if we can improve his mood with some character ideas. And we get a little bit of an improvement here, but it's not exactly fixed. So we'll see how that develops with Emilio Suarez. And you can see Elijah Mays, the effect from him taking the loss at the last show. He's annoyed now, and hopefully it doesn't get much worse. I thought it was actually going to be worse, so I'll take it. But that's a good stopping point for us here in this episode. I love this save. It's so much fun. And I appreciate you guys who have stuck around. I know it's been a long time. I apologize for that. The main channel kept me real busy and just other stuff. But we're going to try to get back into the swing of here in the WAM. And hopefully I'll see you in the next video. I appreciate you. Thanks for watching. Take it easy.